Hey guys, I'm coming to you live from my COVID quarantine. I'm on day 5 of having COVID. Um, I found when you watch this, it will actually be further than that. I'm recording this actually a week before you see it. That's how I kind of roll to make sure that I get stuff out on the right times. So today is I don't even know what today is. Maybe it's December 15th. And you guys are going to be watching this on the 22nd. Which is my son's 6th birthday. I digress. I think a part of COVID is that you don't really have like smooth thoughts. Now, I didn't really have smooth thoughts prior to COVID, but this certainly does not help. So the story behind this goes, unfortunately, we were exposed when somebody came into our house. We were really trying to be cautious and very careful, respectful of like social distancing and always wearing masks and washing hands. But things happen, life happens. It's kind of a messy situation because it had to do with like somebody who came to help our son. And anyways, long story short, fine. It's fine. I'm thankfully so far, the only one in my family who has it. Everyone else has tested negative. Nick and all 3 kids have taken tests. Yes, even my 2-year-old Scotty, she hated the test, but we wanted to make sure that everyone else was in a position where they could, be together while I quarantine. And so Nick has done phenomenal with, taking care of things 24/7. It's been crazy. My symptoms so far have definitely been manageable. I've had a lot of pain medication because I experienced these weird, like, it started Sunday morning. My first symptom was Friday. I had a headache. And I was like, I'm anemic, so I was like, oh, headaches are not new for me. That's fine. But it kind of felt more like a sinus headache. I didn't have drainage or anything, and I felt kind of fatigued. I was like, I don't know, fatigue is normal. I'm a homeschool mom. So Saturday morning, we woke up, and I had just had this feeling. And I ended up telling Nick and the boys, like, hey, we're not going to be going to soccer games today. I just want to make sure we're all healthy. So I went to this walk-in clinic that you could stand in line and do like a rapid test. So I stayed in line for an hour and a half. Mind you, I just had a headache. It wasn't like anything else, but I knew the person at my house was sick, and she knew she was sick, and she came anyways. Working on that forgiveness there. It's not like it's not like a really bad situation. It's just, anyways. That sounds really terrible. I don't need to be so elusive. Okay, what happened is my son's the ABA therapist came into our house. She knew she was sick. She shouldn't have been here. She wasn't following the safety protocols, therefore she got me sick. So yes, there was some anger and frustration in my heart, but it could happen to anyone and anyone else who is accidentally exposed to the people. I'm not shaming you. I'm not mad at you. And honestly, I had to go back and tell people that I was around, like, hey, I didn't know I was exposed. I'm sorry, but I might have been contagious at this time. I'm quarantining now. So like, that's a really important thing to do. If you have been exposed or if you accidentally expose somebody else, like, there's no shame in that. Just, it's fine. You're fine. But Saturday morning, we canceled soccer practice and I stood in line for an hour and a half. And after an hour and a half, they were like, hey, it's going to be another hour. I was like, you know what? I'm being really dramatic. Like, Nick has the kids all morning. If I get symptoms, and mind you, I didn't know anything about this person having COVID. I just had this hunch. Okay. So we were driving to my parents' house about an hour and a half away to spend the weekend with them for my dad's birthday. Hour and a half away. Got everything packed, everything good. Drove there literally like 30 seconds before turning into their neighborhood. I got a phone call from this company that the therapist worked for, and they said, hey, bad news, such and such tested positive for COVID. So I said, I turned right around and came straight back home. The kids were like, what's going on? And I had this big, long conversation. I had to explain to them, hey, we can't do birthday at Nana and Poppy's. We've been exposed to COVID. Like, we just had to be really responsible, and we're all going to get tested. So I got all 3 kids tested that night. at the pediatric urgent care. Now, I think that might have been a little early, but they all had colds. Not all. Leland and Scotty had cold symptoms, and they were kind of restless, and Leland had a sore throat. So it was all these things like, oh my goodness, I know they have it. I know they have it. Well, all three of their tests came back negative, but we also did the longer one where we'll get the results in a couple of days. Since then, they have 0 symptoms, so that might have just been like allergies or cold. I'm not sure. Well, Sunday morning, woke up, and my feet hurt, like walking around my house. I was like, is this in my head? Like my feet, it feels like my feet are sore. Like I was on my feet a lot yesterday. You know, the feeling of like walking around Disney World with uncomfortable shoes, or if anyone's ever like done a race, it's like your feet are sore. I was like, this is weird. I thought it was in my head. And then all of a sudden I was getting like these faint like Charlie horses in my calves and my ankles. My ankles were very tender. I was like, this is weird. And I was fatigued. I had a headache. I thought, I'm not even going to play. So I had an appointment that afternoon to get tested. By that point, I was wearing a mask in the house. So I wasn't, hopefully, if I did have it or if I didn't have it, I was just like, I don't know what's happening. I hope I don't have it, but I have these aches. I don't have a fever. I don't have a cough. But you just have to be super, super duper careful. Well, I was achy, and I just knew. So I went to the doctor, had the rapid test. Sure enough, positive. It was the test itself. I know some of you guys who have had COVID test, you guys had like where you did the test yourself and it wasn't so bad. Y'all, the nurse that did the nose swab, she was like gonna poke my brains out. She was aggressive. She gave me no clarification on what was gonna happen. I just thought it was gonna be like a little flu thing, like a little Q-tip up there and down. No, ma'am. No, sir. What she did is she goes all the way up my nose, and then she like gouged my brain out for like 7 seconds, moving this thing around. And she didn't tell me it was gonna take long. And I was like, how high is it gonna be? You know, I was nervous, you know. I was coughing, my eyes are watering, and she finally took it out, and I said, oh my goodness, that was terrible. I was wiping my eyes, because I was like, tears are coming out because of the reflex. I was like, you must think I'm some kind of baby. She was like, I was like, I feel like I tolerate pain, but I was not expecting that. And I think the shock factor is what got me. And she said, okay, next nose. I said, I cannot even deal with the next nostril. I was like, hold on, I gotta get my mind right. So she was about to do it. And so this time I squeezed my face while she did it, and I handled it like a beast because I knew it was coming. That was the worst part. 15, 20 minutes later, she came in. She just said, is this your birthday? Is this your name? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, here's your results. And she had it highlighted positive. I said, oh, you're kidding me. Now what? And she handed me a piece of paper. I said, well, do I take any medicine? Can I take any kind of over the counter? Is there anything I need to know? How long do I quarantine? Is my family okay? I had all these questions, and she was just like, sweet lady, but I'm sure she was just over it. She's like, I do COVID all the time. You're nothing new here. Move on. So I called my other doctor and asked him questions. It was crazy. So since Sunday afternoon, I have been locked in my room, quarantining, away from my family, masked up, washing everything, sanitizing, washing my bed sheets, even though it doesn't matter, I'm sleeping in them that night. Y'all, it's a crazy time. So that's so far my COVID story. What started out as my feet hurting ended up being my ankles being sore, which ended up going all the way up my body. And then yesterday I had a really bad, last night, 2 nights ago, I could not sleep. I had lower back cramps, it felt like contractions, your back is just aching, the lower back aches. And then all of a sudden this morning I woke up and it was in my upper back, muscular cramps even through here, but not lungs. It's the weirdest symptoms, right? And I think it could be different from everybody. Headache, fatigue, fog, but no fever, no congestion, no coughing. So thank you, Lord, for manageable symptoms. I am going to recover. This is day 5. If I can make it to day 10 and I could take another test to prove that I'm negative, then hopefully we'll still be able to have Christmas together as a family without me having to continue to quarantine, and hopefully they won't get sick, things like that. But thank you guys for praying for us. Not necessarily what we thought would happen. at the end of 2020, but by golly, why not, right? So I'm going to leave you guys with this verse here. It's from James chapter 1. And in spite of trial that you might be going through, big or small, this is what I'm trying to hold on to during this time. Not because I'm like super spiritual or strong, just because like, hey, God, I'm frustrated, but I'm also like trying to learn how to slow down here. So I'm just going to read the Bible, and hopefully it osmosis into my mind and heart so I can do what he says. James 1 verse 2. Dear brothers and sisters, when trouble of any kind comes your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. And when your endurance is fully developed, you will persevere. You will perfect and complete, needing nothing. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. When you ask him, be sure to ask with faith in God alone. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is tossed and blown away by the wind. Such people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do. Believers who are... Oh, wait, I don't have to read that rest part. Oh, that was... Okay, so that's James 1, verse 2 through 8. I bet you guys didn't expect me to read that whole thing. I just kept on going, y'all. I needed that today. I need the reminder to have some peace and joy and slow in my life. So here we are. All right. Thanks, guys.